वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह। I've been asked to spend just 15 minutes giving a short summary of the Asa Di Vaar that we've heard so far. Asa Di Vaar really is a phenomenal and extraordinary Gurbani, and it really isn't possible to give a summary in 15 minutes, but I'll do my very best. What the Guru gives us an opportunity to do here is to highlight in a very, very unique way what the entire journey of Sikhi is all about. Gurbani here gives you not only the wisdom but the opportunity to transform yourself. And really the whole of the point of Sikhi, the point of being a Sikh, the point of bowing your head to the Guru is really to ask for transformation, to change what you are. And here Guruji starts right at the beginning with the idea that transformation of mankind is what is available to you right now. It starts with Balhari Gur Apne Dyohari Sadwar. I bow down to the Guru thousands of times a day. Jin Manaste Devte Kiye. Because the Guru allows me to change from being just an ordinary human being to an extraordinary superhuman being. And the word used here is Devta. Janamanaste Devte Kiya, the one who transforms ordinary humans, Manas, into Devte. Look at the statement being made by Guru Nanak Dev Ji at that time. Look at the world that Guruji was in. A world where predominantly the way that this oneness, God, whatever you'd like to call it, was worshipped was through the Devte. And we have to understand this idea of what a Devta really is. In India, there are hundreds, if not millions, of Devte. So every single way in which God could be worshipped was given an individual form. So for example, the sun or the power of the sun could be called a Devta. The power of the moon, the power of creation, the power of destruction. Anything that God does, it was given a form. And the idea was that if you wanted to have something good in your life, you found the right Devta and you go and you worship them. Now this is not something for us to scoff at. It's very easy for us in today's modern world to look and think, oh, Sikhs are so advanced, we only believe in one God, and look how primitive they were. But there's beauty in even the older systems that have existed. Guru Nanak Dev Ji simply gave us an updated message. The system was fine. They were saying to ordinary folks, go out there, worship God in any way. Worship God as water, as rain, as sun, as moon, as all sorts of things. But Guru Nanak Dev Ji comes along and he says, I bow down to something that is Gur Jaisa Nahi Ko Dev. He says, I found a Devta which seems to be unparalleled. I found a Devta that makes me into a Devta. I found something that not just is worthy of worship, that actually transforms me into a Devta. So what we mean by a Devta is that Devta is not just one of those colorful looking gods with many arms. A Devta is a function of the universe. Devta is a function of God. And what Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, is that I have found something that makes me into a Devta, which means I also become a function of God. So the sun is something that God does. I hope you're following me. Creation is something that God does. Destruction is something that God does. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji is saying, I have become something that God does. I no longer am myself. I am now fully given to this power, that the power is now working through me. And we see this as one of the final stages of spiritual transformation in Japji Sahib, when Guruji talks about the khands. One of the final stages is Karam Khand Ki Bani Jor. In Karam Khand, out of the 4 stages, Taram Khand, Gyan Khand, Saram Khand and Karam Khand. In Karam Khand, Guruji says that in this stage, the assets, the way that you understand that this stage has been received is that it is Jor now. Now the power of God is flowing through me. Tithe hor na koi hor. Now there's no me left, there's only God working. So here in Asa Di Vaar, we should be under no delusion. This is what Guruji wants from us. To transform us from ordinary human beings to extraordinary functions of God. That we are no longer going to be ourselves. And this same idea continues all the way through. Even Guru Gobind Singh Ji in Sri Sarablo Granth says, Atam ras je janhi, so hai khalas dev. One who has known that divine spirit within them, they are known as the Khalsa Devta. Khalsa is also a Dev. Yeah? Janamanas te Devte ki hai. Prab mein moh mein tas mein ranchak nahi nabe. Between God, me, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, between me, Guru Gobind Singh Ji and this person, there is no difference. You are expected in this school of the Guru to become God and make no mistakes about it. You're not just here to worship God, you're here to lose yourself into God. So, how is this going to happen? How do we go from plain old me, simple old me, the one that feels like this individual? What needs to change? But more importantly, what is going to be your motivation to change? You can't just understand this wisdom. You have to figure out, why am I going to go on this journey? Am I willing to go that far? Maybe it sounds too much. And the way to answer that question is a very simple one. You have to ask yourself, am I having the most perfect experience of life that is possible for a human being? Am I having the most perfect experience? Because if the answer is no, then the Guru is available to you. If you wake up every morning and life doesn't feel like it's the best, every single moment is absolute euphoria and bliss, then the Guru is saying, come to me. I can show you that, I can give it to you. So really what you have to ask yourself is this something I want in my life? There has to be that first step that you have to take. Charan Sharan Gur Ek Panda Jai. We hear all these lines, but we need to now know, how do we put them all together? Bhai Gurudas Ji saying, take your first step and Guru will take millions of steps. So, when we talk about things like this, then sometimes we think, well, it sounds almost unachievable, unrealistic. But again, going back to Japji Sahib, Guru Nanak Dev Ji confirms that there are people like this in the world. And they're called the Bhagats, the saints. And in Japji Sahib, in the Suniya verses we hear, Nanak Bhagata Sada Vigas. Guru Nanak Dev Ji confirms that there are people like this who are always blissful, always in Anand. Is that something that you are interested in? Because if you're not, we need to just be honest with ourselves, get up and leave. If you're not interested in bliss, if you're happy with your everyday mind, if you're happy with the noise of your mind, if you're happy waking up in the morning and just feeling quite plain and ordinary, this is not for you. If you reach the point where you say, I no longer accept this mind as my everyday reality, I think there's something available to me, and I believe my Guru has the ability to give that to me. So you have to ask yourself, what is my motivation? Then you'll be able to go and look at what is the Guru's technology for delivering this. What is Guru's solution? How is this going to happen? How are we going to change? First, we have to understand there is a change possible. Second, we have to understand that we need to have the motivation. And the motivation, it's like, sometimes you hear about these people with addiction problems. They say the first solution to being cured of your addiction is to admit that you have a problem. And we all have an addiction to our mind, our sense of self. This idea that I quite like myself, I'm okay, I'm not a bad person, I'll just come matha take and I don't really have to do much. I'll make myself feel good that I'm a nice guy and that I do some Sikh things so I can pretend to be a good Sikh. Guruji doesn't want you to pretend. Guruji wants you to transform. So how are you going to transform? The first word is the most important word, balhari. Surrender. You have to give something up. If you are not happy with the status quo, if you're not happy with how your life is, if you think that my mind could be better, if you think that life could feel better than it currently does in the day-to-day mundane experience of life, you have to give something up. You have to give up the sense of me. I am. Haumai. I am something of value. The amazing thing about Asa Di Vaar is that it goes straight into delivering this technique for you. And the very first verses start to change your thinking. So how do we change our thinking? We spend all of our day thinking about me. I call this me thinking. We're stuck in me thinking. I need to do this, I need to do that. I need to get up and I need to do this and I need to drop my kids to school and I need to get ready for work and I need to cook some dinner. We're stuck in this me thinking. Guruji, and the whole point of Asa Di Vaar doing it in the morning, is you transform your me thinking into you thinking. This is all you. And Guruji, one verse after another, just forces you to start doing that in a most beautiful way. And so we see that right at the beginning, in the very first section of these sloks. Sache tere khand, sache brahman, sache tere lo, sache akar. You start going into almost a trance. This is yours and this is yours. Vadi vadiyai. Then the next one is all this vadi vadiyai, ja vada now, vadi vadiyai, ja sach now. This is your name, this is your greatness, this is your everything. Everything is you, this is also you. And then Guruji goes into Vismad. Vismadana, the Vismada Ved, the Vismada Ji, Vismada Ped. Do you see how Guruji is using the same word to go into a trance? The point of going into the trance is Guru is forcing your mind to stop this me thinking. Meh. I say that we're actually meditating all day. Every single human being is meditating 24 hours a day, but we're meditating on me, meh. And Guruji wants you to stop that line of thinking. Why Asa Di Vaar is done in the morning is that it starts your morning in this way of thinking. Look at these beautiful words. Vismad paun, Vismad pani, Vismad agni khede vidani. Look at this beauty. And you're going outside in this beautiful nature and you're supposed to look around at everything and you just go into this euphoria. So I really encourage you to take time to read a little bit of this Asa Di Vaar and get into it. Kudrat disse, Kudrat suniye, Kudrat pao suksar. Look outside and go into this utter bliss. Guruji is forcing bliss into your mind so that you're no longer stuck in this ordinary, just normal feeling of me. Kudrat is this beautiful, I see you in your Kudrat. And Guruji is not just asking you to think about some God, some concept of God. Guruji is saying, go look outside. I'm right here. I'm right here in all of this beauty. Apine aap sajiyo, apine rachiyo. You've done it all. You've created everything. And then Guruji goes on. These words are so easy to just lose yourself in, because that's exactly what Guru wants you to do. Guru wants you to lose yourself. Pair vich pavan vahe sadvao, pair vich chale lakh daryao. You go into this trance because you realize that everything is working under the magic of the universe. And so towards the end of the first 8 sections of Asa Di Vaar, Guruji now introduces, this is now what we're trying to deal with. Haumai dirag roga hai, daru bhi ismai. Guruji first introduces the method that you need to surrender, let go of yourself, go into this trance of just praise. And then Guruji, this section, starts to introduce, now you will see that there is a resistance. There's a part of your mind that says, I don't want to do this anymore. This feels like letting go too much. And Guruji now says, right, this is called Haumai. This little bit of me that says, I want to hold on to me, Guruji says that is the ultimate disease. But now that you can see it, before you couldn't even see it. In Naam Simran, you go into such a trance that you can start to see there's something that doesn't want to let go. Guruji says, now that we can see it, there is a solution. Seeing it is the solution. Being aware of it is the solution. That's why it's the daru. And how are you going to get rid of it? Gur ka shabad. The Guru's message, the Guru's wisdom is going to break that sense of man. And so I hope in the first 15 minutes I've given you an opportunity just to try and understand what it is that Guru is trying to do with Asa Di Vaar. And hopefully if Guru blesses me, then I will join you again tomorrow and we will look at the next 8 verses. So please forgive me for any mistakes, and I ask my Guru for any wisdom so that I can help the Sangat. If you help me, Guruji, then if you give me the wisdom, then I can hopefully share some of that wisdom with you. So please forgive me for any mistakes. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. We're looking at Asa Di Vaar in 3 sections. The first 8 sections, which are the sloks followed by body. And just to give you a general overview, in Gurbani, when we have Shabads which are written in the slok and the body format, usually you will have the opening slok which presents a problem, the middle slok which presents the alternative to that problem, a different way of looking at it, and then the body is always the conclusion, how the final way of looking at that problem. What happens when that problem is solved? What will that look like? So generally that's something to keep in mind when we look at the structure of Gurbani whenever you hear anything in that slok body format. At the end of the 8th body, Guru Sahib ends with a question, which dunya kahe aaya? So the first 8 verses were all looking at this opportunity that's available to you to transform. And how do you transform? That manas to Devta is that you immerse yourself in praise. You immerse yourself in looking at the universe in a different way. And then towards the end of it, the verse came speaking about Haumai, that Guru now introduces this idea that you have an obstacle, which is why you're not able to immerse yourself in praise. And then presents this question, well, why are you here? What's the point of your life? And what Guruji now goes on to do is to look at the different lifestyles that people lead, all the different ways that people choose to live their life. After asking this question, well, what is the purpose of your life? Now Guruji examines all the different types of lives. And Guruji here describes especially the religious types, the ones who consider themselves religious. And Guru starts to now highlight that it is a waste of your time to enter into religious practices. And it's very easy for us to sit and read and listen to these Vanis, and because the references are all to do with Hindu practices or Islamic practices, it's very easy for us to assume that the Guru is criticizing other religions. But the Guru is not criticizing other religions. Guru is criticizing the hypocrisy of looking religious and acting religious without actually understanding what the point of it is. The truth of the matter is that Guru Nanak Dev Ji would say the same thing to you and me, and does say the same thing to you and me. You can easily just replace all of those practices with Sikh practices, and the Guru is talking to us just as much as he was talking to the people that he was surrounded by at that time. So let's look at some of the fruitless religious actions that Guru is talking about. Reading spiritual wisdom. Reading spiritual wisdom. Dressing religiously. Going on religious pilgrimage. Going to Tirath. Walking barefoot. Thinking that you're doing something religious just because you're taking your shoes off and walking barefoot. Specifically is mentioned. All of these are useless if it adds to your sense of self. If you do any of these things, the things that you're doing is not the problem. It's that if they add to this feeling that I am doing them, this Haumai which Guru introduced in the first 8 verses towards the end, if you feel that I am doing them, then all of your religious actions are a waste of time. And we must reflect on that within our own tradition. Doing anything, including Path, Nityanem, Akhand Path, Panch Kakar, we must address these things. We cannot hide behind these things and assume that we are being good Sikhs because we are reading the right things, we are looking the right way, we are sounding the right way, we're going to all the right places. If you are doing that, you are not understanding the Guru's wisdom. It is not about whether you should do any of these things or not. Guru doesn't care what you do. Guru cares about the ultimate truth, that you are deluding yourself that you are important, that you exist, that all of these religious actions are somehow going to help you. Guruji says that Haumai is creating a dukh for you. Haumai is creating suffering for you, and the way that it works is through this love of duality. Anything that you are doing which is under the impression that I am doing this to please God, that is duality. Me over here, God somewhere over there. As long as you're doing any of these religious actions, it doesn't matter that you think that the Guru has given you these actions. It does not make a difference that you think you're following Guru Gobind Singh Ji's Khalsa Rath. It does not make a difference as long as you believe that in this duality, that you are over here and you're doing it to please your Guru. And then Guruji goes on to explain something very interesting, a concern that I know a lot of us have. Guruji now goes on to explain that it's not only the religious people that are deluded, even the worldly people, like youngsters who say, I don't believe in religion, I don't need any religion, I just want to go and earn lots of money. Even those people are wasting their time. And then Guruji goes on to explain that those people are also living under this same delusion. Guruji starts to talk about a very interesting way of looking at life. Guruji uses the word kood. That if you think that you've got no need for any sort of dharam, any sort of spirituality or religion in your life, then if you are a king and the whole world follows you, Guruji has reduced you down to a very interesting word, kood. Rubbish, filth, stuff that you throw away in the bin, rotting. Your whole life is a waste. Kood Raja, kood Parja, kood Sab Sansar. The whole world is absolute false and filth, trash. Kood Mandap, kood Mahadi, kood Besanhar. So your big, large houses and earning lots of money, absolute filth. Kood Soina, kood Rupa, kood Penanhar. All your nice clothes and jewelry, and today we might talk about having flashy technology and the latest iPhones or smartwatches and all these sorts of things, absolute waste of time. Even the person wearing it is filth. Kood Kaya, kood Kapad, kood Rupapar. Your body is false. The clothes that you are putting on them is filth. Kood Miya, kood Bibi, Kapoy Kar. Your husband is filth, your wife is filth. And you keep arguing and wasting your life. Kood Koode Nelaga Visrya Kartar. Kis naal kiche dosti, sab jag chalanhar. Filth is in love with filth because it forgets that which is original, that which is the final, authentic, primal thing that is here. We have forgotten it all. Whom shall I become friends with when the whole world is temporary? So here, Guru Sahib gives us a clue as to what the solution is. Sab jagat chalanhar, that's the problem. The ultimate problem with both religious people and atheist worldly people is that we are both deluded by this idea that we are important. That what we do in life is important. That life is about our story. We wake up and we think that this is my story. I have to live my life today. That is the kood, no matter how religious you look, no matter how nicely you dress, no matter how much Gurbani you've memorized. You are wasting your life because you haven't understood a very important word, Sach. So the antidote, the solution to this poison is that you have to recognize Sach. And the word Sach does not mean truth. The word Sach means permanence. We are wasting our time not realizing that everything is impermanent. That is what makes it kood. Kisanal kiche dosti, sab jag chalanhar. Everything is temporary. Everything is falling away. Everything is born to die. Yeah? Sabna marna aya. We're all here to die. From the day that you are born, your time is ticking. Every birthday that you celebrate is a delusion that you're gaining something. You're not gaining anything. You're losing more days. You're getting closer and closer to your death. You're not getting any older. In fact, you're getting younger. Days are shortening. Life is coming to an end. So such is the solution, and we must focus on that which is permanent. We have to understand that such is working through us. That permanent essence is what is doing everything. That permanent essence of such life force, Akal Purkh, whatever you want to call it, that is what is waking you up in the morning. That is what is moving, that is the blood that is flowing in your veins. That is what's causing our hearts to beat. That life force, that primal essence. And as long as you've forgotten that, you are stuck in this Haumai. I am the one doing everything. If you realize that you are temporary, behind you is something permanent. The way I like to describe it to my children is as though you have a toy robot and you put the batteries in the robot and it starts to move, and the robot thinks, I am moving. I am the one moving my legs and moving my arms. But the toy robot doesn't understand that it is the batteries inside that is causing this electricity inside you. You take the batteries out, you're nothing. You take the electricity out of you, you are nothing. You take the Sach, the Waheguru, the permanence out of you, you are nothing. You are walking corpses. You are dead bodies. The only difference between us and a dead body is that we have that force of Akal Purkh moving inside our veins. That we must remember. But how do you remember this? Guruji then confuses us and says that it only happens by grace. You can't do anything about it. Well, there's only one thing that you can do about it, which is that you can beg for it. You can ask the Guru every single day, please let me remember that you are the primal force of life. And when you don't, you walk around in dukh. You walk around in this idea that you think everything is okay. But the reality is that when real problems come in our life, that's when we start to remember that something isn't right. And then Guruji talks about the dukh daru shabds. The suffering in your life is the only way that you actually forces you to wake up, forces you to realize that life isn't in your control. Dukh daru sukh rog bhaya ja sukh tam na hoy. What's the solution? Tu karta karna main nahi. You're doing everything. I can't do anything. Jaho kari na hoy. And then the final solution, which was presented to us right at the beginning, Guruji is amazing, always gives us the answer first, then the explanation. The solution to all of this is surrender. Surrender this idea that you have any control, you're doing anything, or you have any power to do anything. Tu karta karna main nahi, jaho kari na hoy, balhari kudrat vasya. Yeah? Right at the beginning, Guruji starts with balhari gurapne. So the solution to this is you surrender yourself. Give yourself up and focus on that which is such. Balhari kudrat vasya. I sacrifice my sense of self to that essence that is in all of kudrat. We think, I am in this body. You have to give up that idea. And you have to look, what is in everybody? What is in all of creation? Balhari kudrat vasya. That thing which has no end. Tera ant na jaye lagya. So, please take whatever wisdom out of this that you find useful. And tomorrow, if the Guru allows and the Sangat allows, then we shall conclude the final 3 verses, the final third of Asa Di Vaar. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh. We've been blessed with the opportunity to spend the last 3 mornings reflecting on the meaning of the Asa Di Vaar. And I'll begin by just going through a summary of the first and the second, and then we can see how Guru Nanak Dev Ji concludes this composition. So in the first 8 sections, Guru Nanak Dev Ji talks about transformation through praise. There's a lot of focus on praise and recognizing the obstacle to praise. So what is the ultimate truth? What is the ultimate reality? And why don't we experience that ultimate reality? Because of something called myself, my identity, Haumai. Guruji in the second phase looks at false practices which focus on the temporary and not the permanent. So Guru talked about a lot of different practices, religious and non-religious practices, where we put all of our effort thinking that we're doing the right thing, but Guruji is saying the very idea that you are thinking that you're doing something is a blocker. And the focus has always been that there is something permanent that you aren't thinking about, that you aren't addressing. You keep addressing things through the lens of your own life, not realizing your own impermanence. So permanence is a major subject. It's the underpinning with which Guruji then goes into this third and final phase. When you have realized that ultimate truth, when you have understood that you are not something that special, then what happens is that you are able to stand up against corruption and falsehood, because you are no longer worried about your own self. You're not worried about your priority because you realize that we're all born to die. So that fearlessness comes up, and here we see Guru Nanak Dev Ji roaring like a lion. And it turns out, if we met Guru Nanak Dev Ji, he may have some harsh words to tell us that we may not want to hear. And again, it's very easy for us to listen to Asa Di Vaar and look at it proudly and say, look at Guru Nanak Dev Ji telling off all these people. But really, Guru Nanak Dev Ji is speaking to us. Here, Guruji is looking at all the ego-based corruption. He talks about corrupt religious leaders who steal money, and by doing so, they are dishonoring their family and their ancestors. He talks about the difference between virtues and corruption, inequalities and purity. So here he's trying to make us really aware that there are two ways of living. The corrupt way, the one that practices inequality, injustice, cruelty to others, versus a way that is full of virtues and a sense of purity, understanding the truth. But all of this is only being dealt with through the lens of permanence or impermanence. If you are within your impermanent self, if you understand yourself to be impermanent, you will treat everyone with kindness. If you think that you are permanent, you will treat yourself with kindness first. So Guruji mentions the famous verses which today we say is that Guru Nanak was a champion of women's rights. He says specifically about this idea of impurity. Women's menstruation is not impurity. The impurity is the lies that you say from your mouth. It's easy to judge someone else. It's easy to look at one community and say you're doing something wrong. But Guruji is saying is, what are you saying wrong at every moment? It's easy to look down on someone and say, you're not eating the right things. I only eat in a pure way. Guruji say it's impossible for you to eat in a pure way. Everything contains life. It's impossible for you to be a vegetarian. Everything contains bacteria. So Guruji is starting to really wake us up. Your water is contaminated. Your food is contaminated. Your kitchen is contaminated in some way or another. But even if you manage to clean everything else, pure food entering into a contaminated mouth of the person who speaks lies, who speaks in ego, where is the purity of that food gone when you drop it into the pit of impurity, which is yourself? And the only real purity is that person who remembers this truth, and Guruji calls that Naam. No washing away of your body is going to get rid of these impurities. Only washing of your understanding through jnana, through spiritual wisdom, is going to get rid of this. And Guruji really brings this message home. Impurity in the mind, we have this in the form of greed. So wearing nice clothes and clean clothes to the darbar doesn't make any difference if you're coming to the darbar with greed in your mind. What is the point of you waking up in the morning and saying, I've had a bath? When pariye mat papa ke sang, o to penna ve ke rang. You haven't done that. You can wear easily nice clothes and you can clean your body and you can pretend to be pure on the outside. But Guruji says, I can see your mind, and that is the worst. That is the filthiest thing that you are bringing here. Your tongue is impure when you speak in falsehood, when you speak lies of others. Your eyes are impure when they lust over someone else. Your ears are impure when you hear gossip and negative talk about someone else. And your life is doomed when you're deluding yourself that you're religious. You have forgotten your own death. You have forgotten your own mortality. And because of that, you think you are so special. You walk around like there is something special about you. And there isn't. There's nothing special about any of us. So, Sucha isn't a person who washes their body. Suche se inanika, jirman vasya soy. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, only the person who has that divine truth, that idea that I do not exist, all that exists is the universe through me, that is the person who has purity in their mind. They're the only ones who can say that I don't have any impurities. So Guruji goes and highlights all of these different people. The ones who indulge in excessive pleasures. And it's again important for us to reflect, what are we doing today? Today, there are Amritaris walking around in exactly the same way. They look great on the outside, but they carry so much filth, hatred and ego on the inside. We see these people running our gurdwaras and we do nothing about it. We know a lot of people go to the gurdwara and they feel inferior. They feel like people are judging them. Women are being judged because they don't have a dasar on their head. Men are being judged if they're walking around with cut hair. They are feeling unwelcome in Guru Nanak's house. You know, it's very easy for us to look at shabads like Pandit about women's rights, and we say, look, Guru Nanak was a champion of women's rights. Look how great Guru Nanak was. But remember, Guru Nanak Dev Ji at the time was saying something which the normal people did not agree with. It wasn't easy for him to stand there and talk about women's rights. Today we can say, look how great it is because we understand women are equal. But he was saying it at a time when women weren't considered equal. And today we do the same thing. Today there is so much hatred against people we don't understand. We don't understand the gay community and we judge them. And I would be sitting here trying to say that everyone should be treating them equally, and most of you might be thinking, this guy is talking about homosexuals. What a horrible thing to say, but Guru Nanak Dev Ji was talking about the women's menstruation cycle. Those weren't easy conversations to have. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji roared like a lion, and we too must roar like lions and stand up against injustice where injustice is being done. Today, Women are still not allowed to do Kirtan in Darbar Sahib. We don't even have Guru Nanak Dev Ji's principles in our highest of places. So what are we doing waking up every morning singing Asa Di Vaar? We are convincing ourselves that we're doing something good. You might be thinking, but I'm not a bad person. I believe in equality for all. I don't do anything wrong. I'm not one of these people that needs to change my life. Guru Nanak Dev Ji gives you a rule to check whether you are one of the people that he's talking to or not. Manda kise na akhiye, pad akhar eho bujhiye. Do not call anyone bad. Read these words and understand. If you ever say to anyone or behind anyone's back, you gossip about them, talk about how bad they are, Guru Nanak Dev Ji has a message for you. You are doing something wrong. And he says, Moorkh hai naal na luchiye. We are the fools if we are doing that. He's not telling you, don't hang around with those people. He's telling other people, don't hang around with you. Don't even have friends with anyone who speaks in this way. Look at the benchmark that Guru sets for us. Don't speak bad of anyone in any way, and if you know anyone who does that, do not associate with them. Guru Nanak Dev is setting the bar very high, and we all fall short of that bar. We are all people who need to learn from this message. So you can't think that you are religious if you are unkind to anyone. Simple. You cannot think that you are religious if you keep coming to the divine and saying, I want these things in my life and I don't want these things in my life. Guruji points that out to you as well. What kind of person says they love God but only loves God 50% of the time? When God gives you good stuff. When God takes something away from you, then you say, this is not right. This is not what's supposed to happen. You can't call yourself religious if you love God 50% of the time. So in the final verse, Guruji summarizes that the only way that you can escape is to realize that nothing is being done outside of the divine hukam. All these people that you think are good and bad, they're all being done by hukam. Everything is in hukam. Hukam hai andar sab ko, bahar hukam na koye. Stop saying those words every day if you're not going to understand it. That's Guru Nanak Dev Ji's harsh message to you. So what we're doing today is that we are getting very, very comfortable with reciting these things. And it seems that we haven't even taken the time to understand what does Asa Di Vaar mean. Half the reason why we don't understand Asa Di Vaar is because the way we sing Asa Di Vaar has been manipulated. Asa Di Vaar is saloks of Guru Nanak, salok bhi main pehle ke likhe. Pauris and saloks of Guru Nanak. And it seems that somehow, somewhere down the line, someone thought it was a good idea to take Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Asa Di Vaar and break it up and throw in verses of Guru Ramdas Ji. The way that everyone has learned Asa Di Vaar is not the way it's written in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Why are we doing this? You think, well, this is what everyone's doing. Every single recording of Asa Di Vaar all over the world, in every Gurdwara, is being done in this way. But if you go and do your research, in the old handwritten Granths, wherever Gurbani was being written, the Pothis they would call them, Asa Di Vaar was written exactly as it appears in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. And it seems to be a later addition, possibly when the Amrit Kirtan was invented, that someone thought it was a good idea to take Asa Di Vaar and break it up and throw in all of Guru Ram Das Ji's verses. And by doing that, you'll notice the flow completely changes. Guru Nanak Dev Ji gives you a harsh message, and then all of a sudden something completely irrelevant is being thrown in. And you might think, well, it's all Bani. Surely it's good to just listen to Gurmani. Would you do the same to Japji Sahib? Would you read verses of Japji Sahib where after every verse an Anand Sahib verse is thrown in? Would you say that makes sense? It wouldn't make sense. So you have to start reading Bani and understanding Bani. Otherwise we're blindly all doing it. Now I could be completely wrong. But only when you start reading the meaning do you say these meanings are being corrupted. When you read Asa Di Vaar, it has a lot of meaning. When you throw in the verses of Guru Ram Das Ji, which I may be wrong, I don't think that these were started by the Guru. It seems that it was a late tradition. It seems that as the Guru wanted it, that's how Guru recorded it in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Something has changed over time. My beinti is, go and do some research. Find out when this started. It feels like your Bani is being manipulated so that you don't take this message. So that you blindly carry on reading it and singing it and making yourself feel better, and you don't actually understand that the Guru is trying to teach you something. Our Bani is being changed and we're not doing anything about it. So Guruji ends by saying, it's okay. Understand that even this is in Hukam. Everything is being done in Hukam. The question is, what will your Hukam be today? What will you do to change the world so that they understand how brave Guru Nanak was to stand up against the norm and against the people? We are the children of Guru Nanak, and we must learn Guru Nanak was a rebel. And if Guru Nanak was a rebel, then we are the children of that rebel Guru. And it is up to us to read Asa Di Vaar, understand it, and use that to help make the world a better place. So I ask for forgiveness if I've said anything to offend, and I ask for forgiveness from my Guru, and I thank the Guru and the Sangat for giving me the opportunity to sit before you and reflect on the beauty of our Guru's message. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.